What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. Today's video is going to be a little different. Just following up on my commitment to myself, doing a journal on my journey, more into software development and things I'm working on. So today is Thursday, December 8th, a little bit after 7:30 Pacific time, and just want to share what I've learned thus far and yeah, just share my insight on everything. So as you guys know, I've been on this roadmap to basically develop a demo, you can call it. I wouldn't even maybe go as far as a minimum viable product, but I'm working to basically develop an application demo that shows off this concept I had discussed in the Ideathon. And for those that were not around, I'll try to link the video maybe later when I post this. But the whole concept was to leverage blockchain technology to allow for the leasing of physical assets and spaces, and looking to leverage such technologies as smart locks to enable the physical access to, say, a building or, say, a hotel or some other neat facility, and basically have a kind of an open um, market system with reputation and collateral start to integrate DeFi into the space. And so I started this journey actually about a month ago now, starting with the Ideathon, and after sort of having some success in the Ideathon, moving towards getting motivation to actually build out something, starting with like a sketch that kind of showed this concept, and now working into various screens that make up this application. And so where I'm at right now is I've started using React Native to build out the various screens, such as the say the sign in screen and the sign up screen, and for getting your credentials kind of screen, and also a landing page, which I showed before. And so now what I was working on more is tying in a database, which is a repository, if you will, a warehouse that exists in the virtual domain that stores all my data. Long-term goal is to obviously have these tied and housed within a blockchain like EOS. But for now, some of the documentations maybe a little bit challenging. And also my thought was to focus on just having a demo, maybe using mostly Web 2 technologies, and then start to identify certain pieces that I could integrate with Web 3 technologies as those stacks or solutions become more mature. Right now, what we're still seeing, even in EOS, is, in my opinion, most of the applications that are getting built are having to basically develop their own tooling, their own wheels, and it's just not something that I can personally do in my wheelhouse as someone who's relatively new to this space. So I'm sort of in a wait and see mode with maybe what comes out from software development kits and other types of tooling to help enable me to do that. I have used some of those tools in the past, like to create like tic-tac-toe games on EOS, but when you start to think about like the complexities of how you maintain the privacy of consumers who maybe use your application, I don't know what tooling out there exists for like a Web3 application that, say, is built on any blockchain, right? Let alone EOS, that enables you to do that. And maybe the answer is, for right now, maybe that's not the case. Maybe we only store certain elements on the public blockchain and the rest of it is on the private network. I'd love to know, for those of you who are building out there, what are some of your, what are some of your strategies or thoughts on that very topic? I'd love to hear more from EOS builders or community, or developer relations, people from the ENF. What's the strategy moving forward on those things? Because you have a lot of projects that are kind of looking for those things and they don't really exist. So it's like you can't necessarily build that out into truly a Web3. You might be able to do some swaps or some of those DeFi things, but if you're looking at general consumer apps that my mom or my grandma or my sisters or my siblings or people I know are going to want to use, most of those people are not going to want to use swaps. So it's really imperative and paramount to start to think through those real world applications and what tooling is really essentially needed to enable those. I know there's been a lot of emphasis on scalability of the chain, but I don't hear as much emphasis on the strategies for web builders, and so that's something I wanted to just express in this short rant. In any event, yeah, I've primarily used React Native thus far. Again, working on various screens. This is kind of an example of my main app function, which is really the start of this React Native app. It takes as an argument navigation. And I use something that's new to me, a use reducer from React, which takes in these two arguments, one being like the reducer, which is kind of the handler for various actions that exist within my application, and takes into account various cases and returns the previous state as well as a slight tweak on, say, a user token for authentication and a state of either the user being signed out or various other things to enable my application to navigate to the appropriate screen. And so it could be like a login screen, it could be a sign up screen, or it could be the main screen where I'm maybe showing various properties. I've already built kind of a landing page with various cards to show that. And I'm working through a details page that will allow users to click on, say, a particular card. For those of you, saying, well, what's a card? You go to like Airbnb and you click on like the main photo on the application. That's the card where you have a photo, maybe a title, a price, and a very short description. Those are those cards that we've been working on the past couple weeks to build out. And then I've used a use effect, which allows me to do a setup here with a bootstrap and looking to dispatch the restoration of tokens. Ultimately, this particular code set here will look to fetch the token from storage and then navigate to the appropriate place. But for now, I have some placeholders in there and things to really ease that process along. And then I have a const auth context, which is defined to assigned the React.use memo. Memorization takes anonymous function, and I've defined a couple cases there. Sign in, which this is an object overall, which has sign in, which is an async function. And there, again, some placeholders. Probably going to interact with my server, which I haven't done yet, but it's going to ultimately call the dispatch action, which is the type sign in, and I'm going to have a token there. I also have the sign out and sign up as well, placeholders running at least once there because of the open parentheses. And then I have the framework for what I'm going to return in terms of the JSX. It's the auth context provider and the value that is available to the child elements here. I do use the Stack Navigator, and that's something also new to me. Stack Navigators are these, it's basically a solution that is available within React that allows for the stacking of different screens. So think of it like a pop push context, and you can start to define and leverage your components to create these various screens. So you could have like a splash screen, a sign in screen, a sign up screen, so on and so forth. And you can also like nest those or conditionally show those. So in this context, I'm using the is loading as the case I'm checking. And if it's actually in the loading case, I'm going to show the splash screen components within this Stack Navigator. However, obviously, if that is not the case, I'm using the ternary, I believe it is, operator, right, in this context, and saying, well, if it's not, and if the user token is null, I'm going to actually show the sign in screen because I don't have a user token, right? And I can also have the sign up screen contained within that stack. So I can navigate, say, from the sign in screen And if a user clicks on that, they can go to the sign up page. I'll also have some other cases in there as well. And then the other assumption there with the ternary is perhaps if I do have a user token, then the user is signed in, so I can navigate to my home screen, right? And so this is how this basic functionality works. Some lessons this week that I took away that I want to share with others, or things I learned for those that need assistance, or would like to learn more, or starting your application within EOS. It's not really meant. This is not really meant to be a tutorial, because I'm not at a level to teach people what I'm doing, but I am at a level where I would like to work with other people on their applications and maybe develop a working group, maybe stand-ups that we frame together. But basically, I learned a little bit more about Elephant SQL this week, getting my database frameworks up. So I have like tables for locations and table placeholders for my user accounts, my properties. So I was able to kind of map that out. That's something I'd love to help others with. Also, the form screen for logging in, sign up, and main landing pages. Working through that stack navigator, and also the general framework for authentication. I mean, I know I'm not necessarily there yet. I'd like to know a little bit more about the tooling that's available within EOS to enable me to do that as well. If I want to bring in EOS native accounts into this application, what's the best tooling to enable me to do that? And then using Expo to demo the applications. That was another thing I learned, and maybe I'll show that at the tail end of today's talk. And then challenges to testing my fetch requests within a local context, or local environment, I should say. And so with that, with like Web 2 work, when I've done desktop applications, I've usually used like localhost, and then my path for the server API call. Maybe some of you guys are familiar with that. With this particular one scenario where I'm going more mobile first, I thought I could just do the same thing, and for some reason I was not successful in making the API calls to my database. So basically, you spin up your server on the back end, which I've done in the past, and you make these API calls with a basically navigating to your server. So typically it's localhost 3000 or some other port that's on your machine, and then a API like path that you have. Well, that didn't work. So I ended up having to learn a little bit more. I dug into it, and it turns out that for whatever reason, when you're using Expo, or this solution that is built with React Native, you're actually required to provide the full IP address where you would usually have your local hosts shown. And that addressed the issue. So now I can actually make the various calls to my server backend from this front end application, which is nice. So that's actually what you want. So let me see if I can actually, let's see if I can show this or not. Presents. Let's see if I can actually show this to you guys, how it kind of looks. Not sure if I'm going to be able to show this because I'm doing this in real time. Window. Yeah, I don't know if this is actually going to work, but let's see. I should probably get used to this as well. It's good practice. This is kind of how the emulator looks. And this is kind of what my interface looks like right now. So hopefully you guys can see that. But just doing some basic tests. I'm not able to simultaneously show two screens, I think. That would be nice if I could show this screen and the console log. But this is how my screen looks right now and what I've been working on. So I can actually interact with this. If I go to type in a couple things here. I also added a function that sort of hides the password like from view when you're typing it in. So I thought that was kind of nice. And then I have another option to sign up with Google I'm working on, as well as sign in. Probably need to work on that spelling, as well as not having an account. So you can come here on the bottom, hit your sign up page, and you go to this like sign up sheet, or you can go back And then I got the sign in button. So if you go to the sign in button, obviously that should take you to your homepage. So I got my homepage and my sign out navigation. So very simple, but that's what I was able to accomplish this week. Hoping to continue to make progress. I do have some work that's potentially getting lined up outside of this domain. It is kind of an exciting domain I'm looking at. Maybe some high voltage chargers for some large trucks. So might get on ramped on that project. But I'm really hoping that um, with the time I have, anytime that EOS as a community, the developers, we're able to kind of scale up our own, again, working group. Again, not so much block producers, not that I have anything against them, but I'm really looking more geared towards people who are trying to develop on Web3, um, even new people in Web2. So let me know if you're one of those people. I talked about in the past forming stand-ups, trying to also lean towards hearing what programs that ENF has. I haven't heard a lot. I've seen a lot of Twitter spaces, but I'm looking for a little bit something more concrete, like a program that kind of walk through some of these particular topics that I'm thinking of or I'm struggling with. So because time is money, and people obviously just looking for solutions. So in any event, I want to thank you for tuning into my video. And until next time, y'all, I hope everybody's having a great day. Peace and love, y'all. And I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.